What's up, everybody? Welcome to Table Talk Episode 4. We've got this even nicer setup than last week today. We got some green and white lights all around. We're set up here at Basha High School because we have a very special guest, Kevin McCabe, here today. I'm Jayden Ricken, sports broadcaster and commentator for the Bash Bear Network.
And I'm Gavin Wilson, BBN anchor and avid sports fan. And I'm real excited about this episode. You know, Kevin, I'm dying to get your take on some of these topics that we need to talk about.
But what's up with this Cardinals thing? Nobody told me that was going to happen.
I'm from St. Louis. I need to rep the town I'm from.
Good. And they are great unis and
great
baseball.
Some of the best in sports.
You're okay. No, it's not fighting words. I love it. I love it.
Look, you said they're nice jerseys. To each their own. I mean, why are you wearing a blue jersey when your team has no blue in it?
The bird on the bat.
Oh.
Come on, man. It's been like this since like the 60s.
It's solid.
All right. Well, Kevin McCabe,
yes.
If you could give a brief background of yourself to our audience out there, if anybody's not familiar with your work, because you're huge in the sports reporting scene in Arizona.
Huge. I've got everybody fooled. I've been really blessed. I've been doing this now 44 years.
Wow.
I got out of college, got right into it in sports broadcasting, and had a great run through Tucson, Flagstaff, and in Phoenix. I got to work for the NFL on Fox.
Wow.
Work with Madden and Summerall. So I've had a World Series. I've had a great run. But my passion and my love all throughout those years has been covering high school sports. So I'm still able to do that on Saturday mornings with AZ Preps Live and celebrate stories like this, like you guys. The fact that you guys are talking sports and having your own show, this is really, really awesome, or dope, or lit, or whatever you guys say these days.
We aim to be like you guys out there, the professionals, right? We're very new amateurs right now, but if we can get to your guys' level one day, then we're doing something right.
Where's the makeup room? It's you guys are doing great. Awesome stuff.
Well, Kevin, before we get into today's topic, we got to give a brief background on everything. So,
all right.
In Arizona, where our Table Talk is hosted, the AIA runs all of the sports here, and they have had a transfer portal for a while now, where students from one high school can transfer to another to go play, and that has kind of affected the way that high school athletics have gone lately. And that's in addition to NIL deals, which is name, image, and likeness. So basically, our athletes allowed to market themselves. Now, for high school, specifically the AIA, we don't see a lot of the NIL deals. AIA has kind of gone against most of that. Now, they're allowed some very slight limitations, but you can't do anything with, like, your school logo or anything like that. So that's very limited. But the transfer portal, just like the college scene, it's gone all out lately. Kids are transferring all around, trying to find loopholes around having to sit out a few seasons, or not seasons, excuse me, a few games, getting ahead of myself there. So I just want to get your thoughts on that. What is your take on the AAA transfer portal? Is it a good thing? Should it still exist?
That's a great question, because I grew up here, and I was, I'm the old man with the, get off my lawn type thing, and I was totally against it. Growing up, I thought you should play in the community where you live, and for the most part, people still do that. But with the influx of the communications that are out there, the social media, the computer, people can find out what teams are doing, how great they are, how they're ranked, and they want to be part of that. And I get that a little bit. My daughter played softball, and I wanted the best. I want the best for all my kids. And if they were a great math student, I'm going to find the best math school to go to.
Right.
If they're in a band or they're actors, I want them to go to the best acting school that gives them the opportunity to grow. So I understand that athletes' parents want their kids to go play for the best football program, whether it be Basha, whether it be Liberty. They see that now, and they all think their kids can play there. So they've got to do the research as to whether they can or can't. But I see it. I want the best for them because I'm a parent, but I also hate it because I don't like seeing coaches poaching other kids from other teams during the offseason, during 7-on-7s, stockpiling their teams for championships. We've got to get the bling. We've got to get the ring. We've got to go get this quarterback. So I don't like that, and I think the one way you could avoid that stockpiling championship teams is let them play throughout the entire regular season. The athletes, this is the Kevin McCabe rule, by the way, and they haven't adopted it. Right now, they sit out the first 50% of the season. They get to play in the playoffs. So they're still going to play 10 games. Let them play the 10 games, get their film, let them play at that level, but they can't play in the playoffs. That would stop these coaches from building super teams just so they can win championships. Your quarterback, if you knew your quarterback, that wide receiver is not going to be here in the playoffs, I may not want him to come here. I may want to go build from within I have right now.
It gives you a different thought process, going into the season, like who you really want to talk to.
And you're playing. You're playing, Gavin, and you play the first 5 games. knowing this cat's sitting there, he's going to take your job. That's not fair to the team.
Right.
That breaks up the team too. So if you play the entire season, I better have you ready for the playoffs. And if I'm not going to have you for the playoffs, I don't know if I want you playing for my team throughout the regular season.
Right. No, I totally get that, man.
You can play for me anytime, though.
I get exactly what you're saying there, Kevin, with, having them get their film in the regular season and then the postseason, it's like,
Recruiting.
hey, you sit a few games of the playoffs so that way you don't build super teams. But I think sometimes we're too quick to assume the negative, right? And the transfer portal isn't all bad. There's plenty of great reasons that have to do without recruiting for switching a school. Say you live in a less fortunate area and the athletic department at your school isn't what you want. It's not giving you the opportunities you need. Well, if I was a kid there, I'd be like, shoot, can I switch over to Basha or can I go to Perry for basketball? I'd want to switch to wherever had the best athletics for me. And at that point, then, is it fair to say, hey, you know what, you still have to sit for a season? To me, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, and I granted, we had a quarterback a few years ago at a North High School who was a superstar being offered as a freshman by Oregon, and he was not going to develop at North High, playing in their football program. It's a great school, great academics. I grew up watching North High, but an opportunity to go play. But that decision was made early. He sat out, came over to the East Valley, sat out, and is now playing. If it's done early, I don't mind that. The other thing is if they move, if a family moves, you got a new job, maybe we're working in the far Northwest Valley, he's not going to drive 45 minutes to come out here to Basha and play. So I see there are reasons, and the AIA will acknowledge many of those. Maybe they moved in with a grandparent. But I also think that these coaches, and I think for just stockpiling teams, that's the thing that I want to challenge. If they're poaching kid, I need the best quarterback. He's there. I lost my quarterback. I'm going to go get the best quarterback. Maybe if it's done as their freshman year, sophomore year, and develop them within your program, then I'm good with that. But it's not going to stop because we've got open enrollment, and it gives the opportunity for any parent. They can move and buy a house in that area, and they can have their kids go to school there. But I just want to see teams on a level playing field as opposed to the teams that have money, that have a program, that are just poaching kids and building, stockpiling championship teams because of that.
Who wouldn't? I mean, I think that's the root of sports, right, is the competition. Unfortunately, we've kind of seen the commoditization, it's just become a business, right? Instead of just
even
the
in high
root
school,
of
man.
the sports.
Which is sad to me because, again, these coaches don't make any money.
Right.
They make minimum stipends for being a coach at the high school level, and we treat it like it's college. And we treat a lot of these athletes, and they're becoming like that through social media and through the media. But it saddens me on a lot of aspects, but I still love it. It's still as pure as it comes. It's still as genuine as it comes. I tell people it's about 95% pure. There's some messy. But I'll take the 95% as opposed to what's going on in college and pros and Olympic amateur sports.
Now, going off of the business aspect, really coming down from NFL and college, do you think NIL deals should find a way into high school sports? I'm
going to grab that microphone. No,
oh my.
It's still relatively pure, guys. This NIL, I really truly believe that the college kids should have been given money for their name, image, and likeness. If you're signing autographs, do an autograph show, get paid.
Right.
Or they're buying your jersey in the team shop, and you can't afford a winter coat. You need some of the money.
Yeah,
that comes.
it's your jersey,
Yeah, exactly. You're selling your name.
You bring the value to that product in the first place.
Absolutely.
You deserve a cut of it.
Absolutely. But now this thing, the toothpaste is so far out of the tube, where kids are getting cars. Entire school in Utah where every kid gets an F-150.
Yeah,
I'm trying to go there.
Yeah, I know it. I do. I want to go there. There was a player in Texas who was graduating, and they had a $6 million deal from the school to keep him to stay from going to the NFL. He had to take a pay cut going to the NFL. This is all wrong.
Sounds like Eric Dickerson.
And to think about that, some of those old athletes, what they would have made these days. What would Bo Jackson would have made?
His NIL deal probably would have been up there like $10 million.
So it's out of control. I think it's ruining college sports. I really do. I do love seeing women's sports and what it was initiated for, women's sports and Title IX sports, them getting an opportunity to sell their name, image, and likeness and grow that. I do. So I do see some good for it, but just to throw for all starting 5 offensive linemen go to the University of Texas. If you're starting, you get $200,000, and that is just, it's going to be the haves and have-nots. Unfortunately, the have-nots right now are Arizona State. Arizona's clinging. Some of the smaller schools, they can't compete. NAU. They're just waiting at the dish for those players.
It's turning into the NFL at this point. It's like free agency.
Yeah, completely like that, except the NFL is a business. It is a job.
Exactly.
This is college. This is college athletics.
It's supposed to be like amateur sports before you get to the professional league.
And let's not forget, they're getting a full ride scholarship
Exactly.
and a scholarship check. Hey, what a concept. I'm getting 5 years of college paid for.
Free schooling.
All
to
my
play.
medical bills. I'm getting meals. You got me fired up. I don't know which one of you I take out first. I'm not sure yet. Not sure. Okay.
Hey, I didn't make the portal. I didn't make the
you're
NIL
assuming that I
deals.
could take you out. That's the other thing.
With that, though, if you could change it, which, right, that's a lot of theory rather than reality.
And they're not listening to me either, by the way.
If you could, what would you do? What would your solution be?
Well, I don't. It's so far gone in colleges. I don't think that toothpaste can be put back in. But I know the NCAA is having meetings every day. I think we almost the NCAA has become a non-factor, where it almost has to be run like a business.
Yeah.
And it's got to be taken over like that. There's billions of dollars that are being handled here. Again, for schools to reap, $100 million, what they did in Colorado last year, what they did by bringing in Dion, it raised
record-setting numbers of transfers.
$500 million it made in revenue for the school.
Mm-hmm.
What Johnny Manziel did, which is a great story, he raised some $50 million for the school and couldn't touch a penny of it.
Right.
So there's got to be some equity in that and be dispersed among the athletes, but it takes a bigger businessman than me, and takes somebody at the business elite level, and the NCAA is not. They've obviously proven they cannot do that.
Let me ask you this then, right? You specialize in high school sports
Yep.
and reporting on that. What would your deterrent be to keep high school sports from becoming too similar to college sports in that regard?
Well, and it's creeping in. It's creeping in, and many states are allowing it. Now, I'm really not opposed to kids getting some free pizza, getting a free bike from the local bike shop, maybe even getting a lease car deal from a car dealership. But when we start paying players in the high school level, I mean, again, I'm trying not to be the old man. I don't think any of it should be in high school. But it has creeped in some aspects where, say I've committed to Nebraska.
Right.
I'm a star quarterback and I'm going to Nebraska. The University of Nebraska may organize so that I transfer to Nebraska my senior year of high school and play up there so they can watch me, and they're going to give me a car, and the University of Nebraska. That's where I don't want it seeping in, where kids are being groomed by, I'm going to go to Notre Dame. Well, in South Bend, we're going to move you in there to play high school there. We're going to give you a car and an apartment. And that's how it seeps into the bad news of how it can seep into high school. But if you're getting free pizzas, you guys should be getting free coffees, and certainly a deal with Kirkland Water. I'm okay with that.
Oh my God,
Dutch Bros.
This is.
I think I'm good with that. But if we're moving you guys to Bristol, Connecticut to do your show, and paying for an apartment and giving you cash money so that you can be part of the ESPN family, which you obviously should be. Then that's wrong. We've got to keep some purity and sense into high school sports. Keep it what it is, or I'm done. And again, I've done this 44 years. I'm holding on for another 6 because I still love the genuineness of it. But if it starts moving in, then you guys you'll run me off.
We're going to run you off anyways.
I know it. I know it's coming. I know you've already have. They're not hiring this on television anymore. They're hiring pretty young people. That's why I'm here.
That's weird. We aspire to be like someone like you. Like we obviously want your like talent because you've been in the industry so long.
You've got the talent.
And then
already.
you guys see us and you're like, man, like they're so like they're young, like they're gonna be taking us over someday.
You are, and I'm excited for you guys in that aspect. Where broadcasting is going with podcasts, with TikTok, with digital, and that's what I want you guys to be the next. What are you going to be doing in 10 years? Now, play-by-play and live sports are still going to be going on, and still sexy. We want to watch live sports.
Right.
But what's the next? Gambling has moved its way into it, so you can watch
Sports
live
betting,
sports.
yeah.
Sports betting. If you're watching the game, I bet he misses this field goal. Well, really? Let's bet. We can bet on.
Especially the last 2-3 years now.
It's gone crazy. But I want to know what's going to happen in 10 years when you guys are now in the business and paid your dues and done this. I want to know what that is, and that's your goal. That's your job, is to find out what that's going to be. And it's coming. It's changing, ever changing. Your podcast took over the world. What's next for that? This show.
That's almost kind of the scary thing. We talked earlier this season with, Coop. Everybody knows Coop, right?
Bruce Cooper, the legend, yes.
So we talked with him about that, and kind of how he thought the way that the media industry was changing and the short form social media, partially why the reason he got out of the industry, he just couldn't keep up with it anymore. I mean, we think this is like the trend now, right? This is the hot new thing, a podcast. Well, shoot, we don't know. Maybe in 3-4 years, this is old news.
Even
and
6 months, man. That's how fast things are changing nowadays.
It's, again, it was my goal to be on television doing the evening news, the 3-minute segment that you get it. And Coop did the same thing. And there was a glorious time for that. But we can't keep teaching that. Nobody's watching. Nobody's waiting for the 10 o'clock news. You're getting it right here on your phones. You're getting your news information from social media. But we've got to find a way to I think the neat thing is the number one thing that people would still watch or listen to if they knew it was going to be on television tonight. There's one thing that would, and I asked people at ASU what that would be, and they go, oh, Larry Fitzgerald interview, or I said, no, it's their kids. If you knew your kids were going to be on television tonight,
they'd tune in. They'd for sure tune in.
Your parents are going to tune in. They're going to call Uncle Joe. They're going to call the neighborhood. They're going to call Basha High.
They're going to post it on social media.
They're going to post it on social media. So that's never going to go away. And that's why I do high schools, because I get a whole new set of eyes every year coming in. I get a whole new set of players and talents. And so that's but I want to know what you guys can do to take it to the next level and where high schools are going and what you're doing here, asking questions like, is transfer portal ruining high school sports? The fact, can you be part of that change? NIL and not allowing, or can you guys coordinate it? One of my old teammates, a guy I work with at Fox Sports Arizona, just texted me today. He took a job with an NIL company that is now operating with all these schools, and he's recruiting players to come give them money. So the future's here. I mean, it's no longer doing the evening news. It's no longer. But finding creative ways to tell stories, being unique, being different, and getting people, what's going to make people watch?
Exactly.
Kids and pets. They'll watch their pets. You guys will watch cat videos all day long on TikToks or watching dog tricks. I've gone on and on. I'm sorry.
No, we loved hearing. I mean, I really enjoyed your take on that. I think that we see media changing so much, and it's all about what people really want and finding the root of that. What makes people come to you instead of somebody else? What makes you tune in at all?
Pickleball. And okay, here we go.
Don't even get us started.
Don't get me started on it.
I hate it.
You hate? No.
And I'm having my knee looked at tomorrow. I can't. But they told me 30 or 40 years ago, Kevin, you need to learn soccer. It's going to take over the country. It's going to be the biggest sport. You need to know soccer. I'm still waiting for that to happen. Every 4 years we have a World Cup. Okay, go!
Wait another 4 years for it to happen.
Now they're telling me you're pickleball. And maybe it is. Well, come on, stop. Don't tell me.
It is.
I'm going to have to smash this table. What? Wait, why? What is but broadcasting it, play-by-play, playing it, what?
Professional leagues?
It's people my age.
Everything. Okay, look, I really think the appeal, at least for playing it, right, as somebody who has been into the rave, right, this wave, this culture of pickleball, I hopped on. I've been surfing the wave, and it's the fun of playing it. And part of it for me is like, I'm not the best tennis player. I'm not the best. I think that takes part of me to any pickleball players out there, but I do really think tennis takes more skill than pickleball.
Okay.
For me, it's a nice, easy game. You can just get into it, right? And it's just, you go with the flow. There's still some challenge to it, some skill, but it's not impossible. Almost like broadcasting and now social media, right? I see guys on TikTok who they make, they go out to a game, they make a little recap, or they go and they spotlight a player. It's a quick 20-second video, and I don't know the credentials of this guy. He just goes and makes a recap. Why should I listen to him? But he's gotten on this wave, and it's so easy to get into. I think we're seeing the same thing with pickleball. It's just that ease of access to where you don't need that much skill, and then it's just smooth sailing from there.
Well, that's a broadcast in itself. What the heck have you guys done? I mean, we started with long form. We had newscasts, and now it's 18 seconds of TikTok, as you consider, and that's what I'm challenging you guys with. What is next? And pickleball, what's the next sport? What's the next wave? What's going to, and I get it. I mean, everybody's playing it, but finding a way to tell that story and exchange it and share it is still the gold standard in what we do in broadcasting.
Right.
I tell people, when I was doing sports, the Cardinals were awful, terrible.
Well, still kind of are.
I can't. But every night we had 3 minutes, and I had to tell you about the Arizona Cardinals, and everybody's going to show the same highlights. Now, if you look at stats, what would you say is the number of people watching TV to watch for sports? If out of 100%, what percentage would you say are watching sports?
Probably about 30, 40 maybe.
I'd probably go around the same, maybe 50 on a good night.
How about 16? 16% of the
Wow.
people.
That's
so
pretty low.
I'm going to
surprising.
find something to cater to that other 84% that are not. I'm not going to turn off. I'm still going to show you the Cardinal story, but I'm going to show you this unique story that's going to make that other 84% be turned on by it. So
You got to
that's
appeal to your audience, you know.
Bill. I'd rather have the 84% than the 16, and I'm not going to. And that's, by the way, that's what I did with high schools. I covered high schools. Everybody covers high school football on Friday nights. And when I was in Tucson, I said, well, why don't we do volleyball on Tuesday nights? We go out and shoot one game, pull 30 seconds of highlights. Here's Johnny Jones serving to Mike Smith and mentioning the kids' names. I didn't take away from the other 2.5 minutes. I'm still talking U of A football, but I gave 30 seconds to volley. Then we did wrestling on Thursday nights.
Oh.
And then we would do swimming and the thing is finding that and taking it and celebrating it. And that's what you guys are doing. You're finding pickleball or finding this unique format and what you guys are doing. I appreciate that you've already done it. You brought in Coop, and then you lowered your standards. You brought me in.
All right.
I appreciate you guys looking to the past, finding out what did work, what doesn't work, and where you're going. And
Yeah, just building on it. See what works now, see what worked then, and kind of like making kind of like a hybrid of what we can.
throw the spaghetti at the wall, man.
Yeah.
And I did it many times, and it didn't stick, and I made a lot of mistakes, but I had fun doing it. And that's, I see a lot of the people coming out of colleges, and they want to be, I want to be Johnny Announcer, and here's your highlights. I want to be, they all want to be ESPN. And that ship has sailed, man. That's those.
That's the past. That's what they grew up watching.
Be the next, or they'll see Stephen A. or they'll see the black muscle shirted guy, Pat McAfee.
Oh yeah.
And it's unique, and that's good for them. They're printing money, but find that next unique way of sharing and telling the fun stories of pickleball. I know nothing about pickleball. I don't want to know, but if you can make me watch it, I'll dial it in.
Hey, maybe he'll start the new segment.
There you
maybe
go.
he'll be
All
right in the wave.
Mark my word. There will be something for pickleball from me within the next few months.
You're my
all right?
pickleball insider.
I'll be your
by the way.
pickleball expert.
You're my insider.
I think I heard LeBron was investing in a pickleball team.
Larry Fitzgerald is invested. It's so people. I'm the wrong guy to ask for that.
I kind of want to also build on our previous conversation right before we got into the industry and the media. So we were talking about the transfer portal, thinking at it at a bigger scale, right? When it got to college and that whole thing kind of started to happen, right? It came out on October 25th, 2018. They finally launched the NCAA transfer portal, and their goal was to just help, facilitate transfers between institutions or colleges, however you want to put it, right? Throughout that, there were some things, right? Just like high school, they have to sit out. And then in 2021, they changed the rules so that way you wouldn't sit a year if you switched at the right time, right, with your transfer windows and whatnot. So they've kind of been going just like us with the media. They go with the flow. They learn what works, what doesn't, and they're kind of trying to find that middle ground. What exactly is best for the players and for the business that it's become. So with all of that and the way the NCAA transfer portal has progressed over the years to now where students or athletes, sometimes we call them athletes, but in reality, they are still students.
Sure.
They're not full professional athletes.
Keep reminding
yet.
them that. That's good. I like that.
What do you think the mental effects of that are, specifically in college, on a student who has to worry about, am I going to get playing time? Am I going to have to transfer here? Oh, my coach is leaving. I've got to figure out how to get there. All of that stuff. What do you think the mental effects of that are on an athlete?
That's the golden question. That's a brilliant question because, what we saw first off with COVID and people sitting at home, and you guys lived through it. You're sitting at home with your computer and your class and your cell phone, and I'm in class. And what that did for you guys getting back into people need to be with people. They need to be with people. And then it was given an extra year of playing because of COVID, or maybe 2 years of playing. And now the transfer portal. And it has, it's so challenging for everybody who's involved in it, from coaches, from recruiters, from high school students, because it used to be you go recruit high school kids. Now you've got to recruit your own team. You've got to keep them from leaving. They just hired a new football coach at the University of Arizona. I said, how come you didn't get out and recruit Arizona? He said, Kevin, I had to recruit my kids to stay here. So you've got to, every year these coaches have to recruit their kids to stay, finding ways for that. Then you've got to recruit high school kids to come there and want to stay because you know if they're not playing and they're a 5-star athlete, they are gone. So it's challenged so many in the mental aspect. And I just worry about it. I worry about where our world is right now. It's a bigger, they always say sports is a microcosm of what's going on in the world. It's certainly what's happening right now with the transfer, the mental health, the challenges, the stars, the money, the NIL, the dollars. A good friend of mine's kid went to play at a big-time school, former artist in the Pac-12, and he's very wealthy. And I said, did he get NIL money? He said, yeah. I said, you don't need it. He says, yeah, but they gave it to him. I said, you can't blame him.
Right.
But we're just changing the whole mindset of these young people of loyalty, of family, of trust. Kids are getting offered and signing. I'm blessed to say that I'm signing here for the next 4 years.
Every post, they're
and
all the
it's
same.
gone, and he's gone a year after that.
Yep.
And so, I worry about that because I'm involved in healthcare in my day job, and it scares me for you guys. But I'm encouraged with you two here that there is some sanity to this all, that you guys see it and are taking a step back. And that's where we need to go, is worrying about those things because, you're seeing suicide attempts. You're seeing, because of the pressures, the expectations, that I didn't sign here, I didn't get a P5 offer. And what used to be a game and an opportunity is just there's such a high pressure on it that I do worry about that. I do. I genuinely do. That's a great topic. That's a 5-hour question and need doctors and psychologists and students because you guys deal with it, man. You guys deal with these every day. Social media gets your endorphins going. I got 7 likes. Or watching your podcast. We got 30. We got 60 views. It's the world we live in right now. And if we can just, I go back to the family values and the trusting each other. I worry about that. But it's not immune to sports too. It's in every other thing people are involved in business and everything. So I worry about our future. But thankfully, we have people like you and teachers like her.
Now, building off what you said before about college recruiting and how the transfer portal is really affecting that, I want to get more on your thoughts on how you think the transfer portal is affecting college recruiting.
It's a mess because, again, you have coaches who have to recruit they have to retain their roster. We won 10 games last year. Well, these kids all think they can play, or the kids are behind them. They're gone, so you've got to retain them.
Plus, build depth behind your starters.
Yes, you've got to have some depth, and you're recruiting kids to come there. They want to play. They may not play. And you're waiting on, and then you've got smaller colleges. Great example, say Northern Arizona University. They have a star quarterback. He's graduating, and I have a sophomore quarterback. Do I go recruit a kid out of high school, or do I get some kid who's played at Tarleton State for 2 years and thrown for 6,000 yards, and I bring him in? He's been on a college campus. He's been through 2 years of college.
He knows what to expect,
So it's affecting the high school kids. It's affecting the college kids. The transfer portal is just out of control too, because everybody, kids play. There's no loyalty. There's no trust. It's what's in it for me. And I don't blame them, but it's just so out of control.
That's the biggest thing I've seen. And what I've heard, I went today and I talked to some of the coaches here at Basha for football. Specifically, I talked to Coach Kelly. He's the offensive lineman coach over here. Assistant head coach. He's very wise. He's very good at what he does. And I just kind of wanted to get his take before we had you come on. I wanted to hear, what does a coach have to say? Somebody who's dealing with this, trying to get their kids to go to college. And he said to me that, they're struggling to see as many scholarships, right?
Yep.
He said a few years ago, their star players would have, 20, 30 scholarships. Now they're getting 8 to 10.
Yep.
Colleges are struggling to give out more scholarships when they have to worry about retention. That's another big thing. He said to me, it's hard as a college to want to go out and get a freshman into college, right? Fresh out of high school.
Yeah.
They haven't shown up to weights in the morning. They haven't shown to really fight at that next level with the best of the best at college. It's easier to go and get somebody who's trying to transfer, or somebody who's like, hey, I've already played for 2 years. You know my size. You know my weight. Come get me. So for me, talking to coaches like that and hearing that they've struggled not only to now get their kids scholarships, but then to even maintain those scholarships when you have it's so many moving parts in college. Like, it's insane to me. And it worries me about the integrity of the sport, just like we talked about for high school. But it worries me to see now that we have coaches out there who are struggling to get scholarships because Timmy over there at ASU says that he's not going to stay, and now the coach has to go out and find somebody else.
Oh, you're painting the perfect picture of it. And that's the thing that's just it's so out of control. And I worry about these college coaches. You see Kenny Dillingham come in here, and he's trying to build a program from scratch. This thing was on the mat, and they're trying to pick it up. And you'd love to see him do it with local talent, but he's got to win. He's got to win right now. And as much as I'd love to, Damon, bring him over. I got to have a quarterback who's been in college football for 3 years who's going to come in here and be able to run the team and run it at a high level. That's not to say a freshman quarterback can't do that.
But new head coach, new quarterback, I don't really like that kind of chemistry right there.
Exactly. So I've got to build, but at the same time, and you're even seeing it in other sports. You've got maybe a softball pitcher going to Nevada Reno. She's up there playing, and he's got to win. So he's going to ride her. Now she wins. She's transferring. Where am I going now? Mm-hmm. Where am I going? So, and he's got to win. That's how they get paid. That's how Kenny, obviously he's got a little bit of stability because he's a new coach, but they're paid to win and paid very handsomely. And I that's a whole other subject, being coaches, because of how this all started was coaches were making so much money and they would leave. So they promised this kid, I'm going to be your coach for the next 4 years, and I'm going to go get $10 million at the University of Washington. Well, you can leave without any repercussion.
I can't leave,
and I can't
stuck
leave
here now.
So,
yep.
No, I think you guys are dialed in. It's spiraling. It's spiraling sports in a bad direction. I don't know if the NCAA has I don't even think they're effective anymore. They've let so many things go that you can't reel back in.
It's kind of like a jungle now.
It's
really every
so
man
bad,
for themselves.
guys. You're seeing it. But you're the next. You're part of that, and that may be the vision of what can you do, and that's sitting at night finding what the story is to change that vernacular. And again, the money's there. How do we spread it out and share it? And that's always the key to any of this. Follow the money. Where is the money? Who's printing the money? Because that's ultimately, that's the world we live in. For years, everybody said, "How does ESPN have all this money?" I said, "All right, you've got 5 million people in Arizona with cable. Your cable bill comes every month. Say it's $60. $4 of that's going to ESPN. $3 is going to Fox. 50 cents is going to the Animal Planet channel. 25 cents is going to the History. But that $6 is going to ESPN out of 5 million every city you're in. That's how they were printing money. Now those numbers have dropped. So you follow the money. You follow where it's at. They're no longer watching local TV. They're watching live games. They're watching Super Bowls. They're watching Olympics, and that's where they can reap the money. So it's finding that money and filtering it so that it goes to the right people.
And I think nowadays we're kind of seeing like a golden age, or the start of a new age with all the NIL deals. It's just like everyone's still trying to figure out how it is. And I think in the next 5-10 years, I think us like younger people, we're going to see what the college kids going into it started with the NIL, and we're going to go into it and build more and see what we can do better with it.
I think they've cracked the golden goose. I really do. And I think sports, you're seeing networks. Bally's went under, struggled. They couldn't. They were. So Major League Baseball is taking over all the broadcasting rights. You're seeing college sports. I think the golden goose has been cracked, and now I worry. But you're right. You're so right. We're seeing this, and in 10 years, you're going to wake up and go, "Oh my God! It was the death of college sports as we knew it," or it grows it in an aspect that you guys have taken over, and now you've got your careers as executives or play-by-play doing the next form. Pickleball. You're exciting NIL pickleball.
Hey, I'm excited for that. I want to see the pickleball league starting out.
Don't call me then, all right?
Oh, we will. Don't worry. I agree fully, but it's like this can of worms, this Pandora's box where we opened one thing, and maybe on its own there's some bad to it, but it's contained. But I think when we had the transfer portal for college, and then we had NIL come a few years later. I mean, it was a struggle to get the NIL in place.
Conference teams and buying them out. Going UCLA and USC, leaving the Pac-12 initially.
Man.
They're gone. So that opened. So now Arizona and Arizona State and Oregon leaving and Washington. Let's go to the Big Ten, whatever it's called now. And now Big 12. So now you're at Washington State. You signed with Washington State. You don't got any play. What are you going to play in the Border Conference? It's
Sun Belt, like some people start like I don't know.
It's going to be the haves and have-nots. But you're right. I think one little thing, and in high school, NIL if it seeps in, that's one little thing. We have a transfer portal of sorts. It's the breakdown, the golden goose. You said it's great. It's a glorious time because it's all happening. But is it good? I don't know. The end of the world as we know it.
Definitely has its good and its bad. And, it's kind of hard to tell which one is which. But I think, I don't know. I like the way that we're going, but then there's also some negatives to that I don't really
I think there's also some ways to fix that, too. And I'll start with the story before I get into my question specifically. But like I said, I was talking to Coach Kelly this morning.
Love him.
And he was telling me, I believe it was at Maryland College. I can't remember exactly. I'm like 99% sure it's Maryland. Mr. Kelly, Coach Kelly, I'm sorry if I forgot the exact school. But he was telling me there was an athlete there a few years ago. He was a third-string running back, right? So, not a starter, not even a backup, third string. And the NIL deals came out, and he went up to his coach, and he said, hey, coach, I'm leaving if you don't pay me $100,000 a year. That's crazy.
That's NFL free agency.
You're a third-string running back in college, a student, essentially like giving an ultimatum, you need to pay me or I'm leaving. To make demands to that to a coach, somebody that like in the
not even a
power.
starter.
Can I hit my head against the table now? Or a quarterback. Let's say you recruited a 5-star quarterback. Let's say he's at Oklahoma, 5-star quarterback, and he's good. And then you recruit another 5-star quarterback, and he comes in. Now he replaces him. Where does this guy go? And then where does the third string, who's a 3-star quarterback, he says, I need $100,000, or I'm leaving. I'm going to go play at Chico State. Holding schools and teams hostage is what they're basically what you just said. He's holding a gun to that coach's head, and the coach has to win. So there's no easy answer to that. I mean, it's a great story. TK's dialed in. These coaches have been around a long time, especially at the high school level, and they see things from how the sausage is made, and they know. But it's challenging.
It's just. For me, it's the dynamic of it. It's a coach, right? Usually you respect the coach. They're higher on the power scale than you. You have to have a sort of, like, you have to treat them like they're a little bit better than you. You can't talk down to them, right? They are your coach. They are there to help and guide you. And to then, like you said, hold them ransom and make almost like a threat, like, I'm going to leave if you don't pay me. And honestly, he probably could get paid if he went somewhere else. With the deals around, it's not like he's bluffing. I mean, there's a real chance that he could get that. And so drawing that, like I said, all the way back now down to our local level and kind of just more high school levels, because of that, we're struggling to see kids get scholarships. And we're struggling to see as much of that. So is a solution for that maybe one, adding a more high scholarship limit for colleges so they can give out more? Is it two, bringing back JUCO, community college football, getting rid of that D1 or nothing mentality that I think a lot of high school students have where, look, everybody wants to be D1. Everybody wants to be the best of the best. You want to go all the way to the NFL, but reality sets in. Most people won't make it. It's a select few. Sure. So go out, play high school, go to a community college, get a few years of tape, and maybe then enter the portal. But is it that then? Is it bringing in more like community level football? I don't know. So what do you think? Is it more of the scholarships or is it bringing back JUCO ball?
Good question. And JUCO ball was, and we're limited here in Arizona because we had JUCO ball, which was great. Insurance costs and rising costs flamed it out. I don't think that'll come back. I would love to see some D2, D3, NAIA opportunities in Arizona. But you go to the Midwest and you can go to like Nebraska and there's 20 schools that you can go to and play. Here we've got Ottawa, we've got Arizona Christian University, you've got NAU. But so I would love to see JUCO football come back, married with the Maricopa, because I think it's great with the Maricopa community colleges. I don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately. As what it does to high schools, I think the only chance we have is to moving the signing dates. We have a December early signing date, and players are offered, and a lot of them won't get offered because they're waiting. These teams are waiting at the dish. They're like your dog going home right now, waiting. Where's the food? Well, I got to see if this quarterback drops out of – he's leaving Temple, and he threw for 3,000 yards, and I need a quarterback. I'm not going to offer this quarterback at Basha High School because I'm going to get him. And so they're waiting, and because they want to win. Now, so we moved the early signing period to February, and also changing the transfer portal date so that it's after bowl games, because these players aren't playing in bowl games because I'm going to hit the transfer portal.
Yep.
I'm not playing in a bowl game.
Caleb Williams, one of the top NIL profiteers. Now, he's entering the draft, but he made $2.6 million off of NIL deals, and he's not playing in his bowl games. He has no need, so that's another thing. If we're talking just about entertainment and like the value of the sports, right? Entertainment and sports are all about, will people watch? Is it fun to watch? What's the point of watching a bowl game if the star player that's making $1 million a year in college isn't even going to play?
My only argument with the bowl games, and because I want them to stick around, is what they do in each one of those communities they're in. I've had a chance to see them in the cities I've lived in and travel to, covering teams there. So you have a Fiesta Bowl here, and again, it was once this mega draw, and it's one of the big four, so it gets that. But what it does for the community and raising money for charities, it does an unbelievable. Same thing in Tucson with the bowl game down there. Again, it's not well attended, but all the money they raise eventually helps charities in those communities. So I see that, and I do love that. Can it be revamped and make that part of the playoff system? Yes. But I think the transfer portal will be part of that, or declaration to go to play in pro. If players don't want to get hurt, I get it. Mm-hmm. But if they can't declare they're in the transfer portal, then they're going to play in the bowl game. So I think there's some things that can be changed. There's a couple of things, but JUCO football, I love it. I grew up watching it. It was great. It also challenged, which I think is the biggest problem with this, is that they never sued the state for the fact that it was racially biased. It gave so many kids who were challenged and didn't have the money to play at the next level, to get an education, a scholarship, and many of those minorities. And many of them grow up. When you go to college, your first 2 years, you put on 15 pounds, you grow up, you become a man.
Right.
And so many of them went and got scholarships. So I was real disappointed that there wasn't some sort of racial lawsuit there, because I really think it hurt many of the minorities.
I agree. That's part of also the NCAA Student Athlete Well-Being Committee. They did a study in 2022, right? And I was reading about it beforehand, just trying to catch up on everything, right? Make sure I don't sound like an idiot out here in front of you. But
you guys are good. So it's
it was so interesting though, because I've got it here. Some of the pages I printed out. The way the results were in regards to reasons for transferring. They asked stuff like that. Why did you transfer? What are you guys planning on doing now after NIL? What's your goal in college? And it's scary to me how these results are, and how we don't have outlets like that anymore, like JUCO and all of that stuff. Right here, once again, this is from 2022, and the numerous factors that were considered for transferring and entering the portal. Of the people surveyed, 61% of the women's sports said that mental health was their concern. 40% of men said mental health was part of their concern. And that's half and over half of people considering all of that. And you have to wonder, when you said growing up, you got to put on 15 pounds, you become a man or a woman, whatever.
It's a full-time job, too.
Exactly.
I don't think people understand that. Mm-hmm. I want a P5 scholarship. I want to go play there. You're taking the minimum amount of classes. You're up in the morning with breakfast with the team, weights, class, weights, study hall, meetings, practice, and at 8:30 at night, you're exhausted. You have no life. And so there's mental health strains on that. Same thing, too. You go play for a coach. Hey, come play for me. I'm the greatest. And now that coach is not, it's not the love that you had, women's sports. You're coming to play for me, and I'm not playing, and I'm beating you up. I do. I worry about the mental health. And that's look at those numbers. They're off the charts. They blew you away. And it's scary.
Yeah.
And it's also what we've done in celebrating sports at the level we have, that you've got to go make this money. You've got to go get P5. And I do see a little bit of change. There's a lot of young people in Arizona this past year that just said, you know what? No, I'm going to go play at this school. I'm going to go sign with this school, a smaller school. I'm going to go get my education. I'm going to play football. I have a support staff. I get a scholarship, and I'm good. There was a realization that that's where I belong. But so many think that they should be playing at the P5, and they're going to go and chase it because they want that. And it's scary. I love the fact that a lot of kids, Western New Mexico signed a lot of kids. New Mexico Highlands signed. I'm seeing kids go up and play in the Division II schools in Colorado, which give partial or full world scholarships. So I am seeing some of that, the realization, or going to play at a Division III school and no scholarship because I want to get a good education, but I still want to play. So I'm going to Chicago. I'm going to get at Lake Forest, and I'm going to get a great job in business. I'm going to play college football. And if, oh, by the way, if I blow up, which one of the star players did from Centennial High School, he's going to the NFL. The NFL scouts those games. So it's the chicken or egg. It's chasing the carrot. It's fueling your parents' ego. There's so many of those things. Living up to your parents' expectations. They paid for this club sport all these years. You're going to go and get that. A lot of these things you're talking about make me crazy and give me mental health problems.
I don't know. This is a tougher question. So,
Remember, I went to NAU. I can't. I'm not very smart.
Why so do you think that we won't see a rebirth of JUCO football?
Just the cost. The cost right now is so astronomical. If we could get local business to underwrite it, and I work in that in business development now, if you can find a Wells Fargo, a Chase Bank to underwrite the insurance cost and the equipment cost, I think we could see a resurgence in it. But the value to them coming back, why would they want to do it? A goodwill. Banks have a it's called a CRA, Community Responsibility Act, where they've got to give money back to the community. I think a big bank could come in and do that on the JUCO level, build it, recreate it. I think it would give great opportunities, as I mentioned, for minorities, for a lot of kids who wouldn't get a chance. They do have a form of it right now, but it's so archaic and challenged right now where they're playing out of a college in Utah with some – it's really not formulated. But this would give them insurance, football, chance to excel, grow themselves, grow their grades, or decide if they even want to play it or not and move on and get 2 years of their education at a low cost or a scholarship. So I think that's the only way it would come back. But the insurance costs are astronomical. Some of these schools have done away with their fields. They kept them for soccer. But I think it could happen if you could get it underwritten by somebody other than the taxpayers aren't going to do it. I'm one of those. But if you could get big business to jump in and support it. If the Fiesta Bowl came in and supported it. But if Fiesta Bowl has made a conscious effort now to reinvest themselves in youth sports and giving back to that. So I would see if big business wants to do it, I think it could happen. It would be great for some company to do that, some leadership.
One of my final questions before I throw it over to Gavin for any of his closing remarks is the transfer portal. High school, college, basically free agency in the NFL. It's this massive world, this massive storm. As Gavin called it, a jungle. All of these different moving parts, and it's constantly evolving, right? Every single year there's some new piece of bylaw or something changing how the transfer portal is going to work, when you can transfer, what NIL deals you can get. How would you recommend to, say, an athlete going into that or a coach who's getting ready to deal with that? What would you say to them to prepare themselves?
Get a psychologist. No, and I really, if you're at that level, I really think you need a team of, you need great parents who are going to be able to handle this. I always ask this question. Would I be the same dad if my son was Tiger Woods? Would I be the same dad if my son was Andre Agassi or Caleb Williams? Would I be the same dad? I'd like to hope I think I would be, but I don't know. All of a sudden, Nike's throwing millions of dollars at me so that he goes to a Nike school, so that he's doing Nike commercials and throwing it at this dad. I'm traveling on Nike jets. I would hope I would. But you need good parents to keep that in focus, who can keep the structure of the family there. Mm-hmm. But it's really scary where it's going. A psychologist, I think, especially with social media, the interaction that's there, shut that stuff off for many of these kids because it just fuels all that mental health. And ignore half of it. I learned that a long time. I learned it with one of the great quarterbacks, Brock Purdy. And this is a social media story where Brock hadn't been offered by anybody. All of a sudden he started getting offered by everybody. Alabama offered him. And this is right after Alabama had won the national championship with Tua and Jalen Hurts. They had two freshman quarterbacks. And I go, oh, great. Offered by Alabama. They got two-star freshman quarterback there.
He's
Good luck,
play
Brock.
There.
And I immediately took that down. Why he might have gone there and beat those guys out. He might have beat them out. But I think if you can be positive on social media and be present with those young people, and I try to encourage young people to be positive, that anybody can sit behind a glass screen and be, that guy sucks, that guy's terrible, I can't believe that. But if you can be positive and lift people up. So that's what I hope they'll do.
If people are being positive in a perfect world, that would be ideal. Unfortunately, we don't live in a perfect world. Not everybody's as positive as we might hope they are. Not everybody is as realistic. You know, we tell parents and coaches, hey, your kid, right, we love to have them play. They might not make the NFL. We say, oh, it's a long shot.
Yeah.
I feel like parents are the problem in a way. And unfortunately, in the reality that we grow up in, and now with the students and the athletes growing up with all of their NIL and transfer portal stuff, if parents are this bad now, it does worry me to see what these guys will turn into when they're parents, and if we can stop that problem.
Listen to these guys. You guys are social deterrents. I love this. Take the lead on this. I'm handing you the ball. I've carried it to the 20-yard line. Now I want you guys to go in the red zone and take it into the end zone. I think you have a great opportunity because I think all the things you talked about, mental health, with transfer, with NIL, they're all I want solutions to those. And you've asked some and you've offered some, but I think dialogue and communication will help bring those about. And I love that you're even talking about it. Young people like you are recognizing it, that there's some of this that's just not good. It's not good. So I wish you guys the best in it. I do.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, I wanted to get some of your last thoughts, and I wanted to know, how do you think with all of this combined, kind of the NIL transfer portal, where do you see it going in the next 5-10 years?
Out of control still. I do, because the money, there's just so much massive money. And I see it in business. That I'm wondering when the golden goose is completely cracked, though, because Super Bowl commercials are still charging $7-9 million for 30 seconds. College football games are charging a fortune, so they can get people to watch. The money's being still pumped in. When does it say enough? Going to games. You go to a game, it's now $150, $140 to go to a game, sit in good seat.
Right.
When is enough? And thankfully, high school sports has still been able to keep that, reality. I remember when they raised the championship games from $10 to $20, and people were complaining. I said, it's $20. I don't know if you can go to a movie for that anymore. But until the money runs out, until people say no, until these great the progressive insurances, the Geico commercials that they say we're not going to pay $7 million for this, then it's going to continue. So again, there's no regulators on it either. It's just
it's open free
feed
field,
the machine, feed the machine, feed the players, just keep feeding it.
Right.
And when does that run out?
I think it's everyone kind of like finding their own ropes,
Yeah.
And it's kind of tough because I just think money's obviously like the biggest factor, and when you get $6 million flash in front of your eyes, you can't really say no to that,
And nobody's going to blame you.
Exactly.
And that's what he'll give $1 million discount for playing at home. I go, no, he's not. It's $1 million. I remember a player getting offered $1 million to go play for the Lakers years ago. I said, well, you're going, aren't you? And he goes, no. I said, what? $1 million. He goes, okay, Kevin, let's do the math here real quick. It's $1 million. After taxes, I get $500,000. I've got to pay my mortgage here in Arizona, but I've got to rent a place out there for another $3,000 a month. I've got to have a car out there, a car here. I have kids. So now I've got to, I said, so you're paying for two seats. And he goes, at the end of the day, I'm going there for.
Not making any money.
No.
$1 million blown by.
But now they're all making $40 million and $50 million, so it's a little different. But follow the money. The money's it. You're seeing it in baseball being challenged with Bally Sports. I thought that might be the golden goose that cracked it, that they just couldn't pay the rights fees to carry those games. But I think Major League Baseball is taking it all over now. They're going to control it. They're going to control the mighty dollar and have their own broadcast, and they'll control all the broadcasts. So that's the future. That's the question I continue to ask is, what is the future of that? Where's it going? When it was enough? And it hasn't hit. People are still willing to pay for it.
I think the ceiling just keeps rising and rising.
It keeps rising, and I just
I don't know if it'll ever stop,
I don't either.
It's tough to say, but before we let you go, Kevin, we've had you here for a while now. I got to ask you one final question. And I want you to kind of show it off to the camera. Where did you get that watch from? Because that is a nice watch. I've been eyeing it down this whole time.
You really want the truth of this?
I want the truth about that watch.
I'm kind of wondering myself, too.
I learned this from NBA greats, a couple of NBA greats, kind of fringe players who made millions of dollars. And I looked at their watch one time, and it was all blinged out. And I said, wow, that's really nice. And he says, it's fake.
Nice.
And he goes, because people think this is like a $30 watch.
Doesn't look $30.
I know it's a.
Definitely
I'm
not.
not a big baller. I have 5 kids that I put through college and flight school now. But thank you very much. It's a copy cheapo. You know, I won't wear the fake Rolex because that's too obvious. But no, it's there you go. So
Hey, if it looks nice, it looks nice.
I should get an endorsement now for you asking me about it. I should call them and get a free $30 watch.
Kevin, thank you for coming on to
Thank
Table
you so
Talk.
much.
Thank you for helping us.
Gavin, you guys, I mad respect for you guys and for the questions you asked and the research you did and where you're going and the fact that you're doing this. You're anchoring sports at this age, in junior and high school, and seeing the changes. I grew up when these actually had these microphones and they actually worked. That's it. And we shot film. We were shooting film.
Wow.
That's how old I am. How crazy is that? And I could tell you a story. But it's been so much fun for me to watch and evolve and grow and change. And now even being forced out of the business, keeping it alive with my radio show. But you guys are the next. And I thank you for having me, listening to my stories. And I look forward to watching you guys. And I'll say, I remember you when. I remember when Dan Patrick.
Hey, I love watching Dan Patrick.
35 years ago, he sat next to me at a Suns game in the Coliseum.
Wow.
And asked me, hey, are there any job openings here? He was at CNN. There's Dan Patrick.
You're like, hey, I remember that guy when I sat next to him.
I don't know. Great stuff, you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for
appreciate
coming
it.
on. We'd love to have you back in the future.
No, don't say that.
Hey, maybe when we get a studio, maybe
Little.
we'll have you back in the studio.
You ask me more questions like this, and I'm going to have
We
to.
will definitely follow up on this, and I'd like
We
to
will not talk
also,
pickleball.
with more time. Oh, we're talking about pickleball next time.
Future pickleball league manager here.
Get your opinion on other Arizona sports, though, too, and
Love
whatnot. It'd be a pleasure to hear what you have to say. And thank you once again for
Anytime, guys.
coming
You're great.
on.
Appreciate
you.
you guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you guys for tuning in. If you have any questions or business inquiries, we're always looking for sponsors here at Table Talk. Reach out to our Twitter or Instagram at the Basha Bear Network. We'll respond to you as quickly as possible. But for now, I've been Jayden Ricken.
I've been Gavin Wilson.
I'm Kevin McCabe.
Oh, look at that. He picked up on it.
Hey.
We'll see you guys next time.